The cemetery lay under a pale Philadelphia morning, quiet enough that every breath felt borrowed. Beneath the white funeral canopy, Samantha Fairchild's gold casket waited above a fresh layer of cement, the final step in a ceremony no one questioned, until a single voice shattered the silence. "Don't lower that casket. She's not dead." Micah Dalton pushed through the rows of mourners, his worn uniform brushing against tailored black coats. His face was gaunt, his eyes alive with a fear no one else seemed willing to name. The crowd stiffened, even the wind seemed to pause. Peter Fairchild turned sharply, grief twisting into anger. "Micah, step back. Samantha is gone." Micah stopped beside the casket, chest rising hard, gaze fixed on Samantha's still face. "No," he said, steady this time. "Her body's cold because someone made it cold. Check her. Right now." A ripple of dread swept the gathering, too sharp, too sudden to ignore. The workers hesitated, hands frozen on the ropes. Someone whispered, "Why does he look like he's telling the truth?" And in that suspended moment, with a coffin inches from the grave and a man begging them to see what he saw, one question held the entire cemetery hostage. What if Samantha Fairchild was still alive? Stay with us, this story only gets deeper. Subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales for more powerful journeys like this. The ropes remained still. No one dared move. Micah stood at the edge of the platform, close enough now to see the faint shadow beneath Samantha Fairchild's lashes. Her face was calm, too calm for a woman who had supposedly slipped away only hours earlier. The scent of flowers mixed with wet cement hung in the air, sharp and wrong. "Lower the casket," Peter Fairchild said again. His voice tight, clipped, controlled. "This is over." Micah didn't look at him. He leaned closer, eyes fixed on Samantha's wrist, the pale skin resting against satin. "She's warm," he said quietly. "You don't stay warm like that." A murmur rolled through the mourners. A woman near the front pressed a hand to her mouth. One of the grave workers shifted his weight, fingers flexing on the rope. Peter's gaze snapped to the guards. "Get him away from her." Two men stepped forward, but Micah raised his hands, not in surrender but in urgency. "Just check her pulse. 10 seconds. If I'm wrong, I'll walk away." "Absolutely not," Peter shot back. "You don't get to turn my wife's funeral into a spectacle." Micah finally faced him. His voice didn't rise, but something hard settled into it. "You buried this fast. No hospital viewing. No second opinion. You didn't even let her sister see her." Peter's jaw tightened. "Grief doesn't follow rules." "Neither does murder," Micah said. The word landed heavy. The pastor froze mid-step. The guards hesitated. Somewhere in the crowd, a phone camera clicked on. Peter laughed once, sharp and humorless. "You're a cemetery worker. You clean graves. You don't diagnose the dead." Micah swallowed. His hands trembled, but he pressed on. "Last night I was on duty. I heard you in the car by the back gate. You said the drug worked. You said she'd be cold by morning." The color drained from Peter's face. Dr. Mason Keating shifted where he stood, fingers curling against the hem of his coat. "This is ridiculous," he said too quickly. "He's confused." Micah turned to him. "You signed the death certificate without a scan, without a second test. You didn't even remove the nasal plug." A ripple of unease swept the crowd. Heads turned. Eyes narrowed. "Doctor," an older woman near the front said, voice shaking. "Is that true?" Keating opened his mouth, closed it. She was unresponsive. Micah knelt, slowly, carefully. He slipped off his jacket and folded it, placing it beneath Samantha's neck to lift her airway. "Stop him," Peter barked. No one moved. Micah brushed the cotton from Samantha's nostril. The air seemed to shift, as if the ground itself had leaned closer. He pressed 2 fingers gently to her wrist. "There," he whispered. "It's faint, but it's there." A gasp tore through the gathering. "She's alive," someone said. Peter surged forward, but two mourners stepped between them. "If you're right," one said, voice shaking, "we can't ignore this." Micah reached into his pocket and pulled out a small brown vial, worn and unassuming. "One drop," he said. "That's all it takes." Keating stepped back, eyes wide. "You don't know what you're doing." "I know what I heard," Micah replied. "And I know what I'm seeing." He steadied the dropper above Samantha's lips. Time stretched thin. The first drop fell. Nothing. A breeze stirred the canopy. The ropes creaked softly. Micah counted under his breath. 3, 4. Peter shook his head violently. "This is insanity." Micah released a second drop. Samantha's throat twitched. And sound. Barely more than air. Cough. Her fingers moved. The cemetery exploded. She coughed again, stronger. Her chest rose, shallow but real. Eyes fluttered open, unfocused, confused. Peter stumbled back. "No," he whispered. "No." Security rushed in as Samantha's gaze found him. "Peter," she rasped. Something clattered to the ground near his feet. A syringe, half-filled, glinting in the sun. Hands grabbed him. Forced him down. "You were supposed to be gone," he screamed, thrashing. "It was all supposed to be mine." Sirens wailed in the distance. Dr. Keating sank to his knees. Samantha's hand found Micah's sleeve. "You," she whispered. "You stayed." Micah nodded, tears streaking down his face. "I wasn't going to let them take you." Police flooded the cemetery. Peter was dragged away, screaming accusations that no one listened to anymore. Samantha was rushed to the hospital. By nightfall the truth was everywhere. The paralytic, the rushed burial, the forged documents. The next morning the courtroom overflowed. Peter sat shackled, eyes hollow. Keating stared at the floor. Micah took the stand, hands steady now. "They thought no one would notice," he said. "They thought I didn't matter." The judge leaned forward. "And why did you speak up?" Micah met her gaze. "Because I've lost everything before. And I wasn't going to lose my conscience too." The verdict came swift. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Life sentences. As Peter was led away, Samantha watched silent. Justice settled heavy and final. But the story wasn't over. Because the man they tried to silence had already changed everything. And the cost of their prejudice, the belief that someone like Micah could be ignored, was now written into their downfall. The courtroom emptied slowly, but the weight of what had happened lingered long after the doors closed. Outside, reporters shouted questions that no longer mattered. What mattered was quieter. Samantha stood beneath the afternoon sky, breathing freely, alive in a way she hadn't been just days before. Beside her, Micah remained still, hands folded, as if afraid the moment might vanish if he moved too fast. She turned to him then, not as a billionaire, not as a survivor, but as a woman who had been seen when it mattered most. "You didn't just stop them," she said softly. "You reminded me who I am." Micah didn't answer right away. He looked at the courthouse steps, at the people passing by who would never know how close the truth had come to being buried. "I just refused to stay silent," he said. And in that simple choice, everything had changed. As they walked away, sunlight caught the glass doors behind them, reflecting a final image. Chains removed, lies exposed, and a life reclaimed by truth. Some stories end with punishment. This one ended with dignity restored. If this journey moved you, take a moment to like and share it. And help Canada's Heartfelt Tales grow by subscribing, because stories like this deserve to be heard.